Blessings, blessings, blessings. So basically the download for today is you got to understand that each master realized being one that realized he was unified with God, he or she. Their last thresholds, the last throes of the battle for that, to live in that at all times, comes as a test, right? For them, you see Jesus in the wilderness, you see Buddha underneath the Bodhi tree. The test manifest according to their programs and their conditions. You got to realize Jesus was raised a Jewish man, so he had the programs of the Abrahamic religion, Satan, and all the limitations that come with that he had to transcend in his Christ consciousness. So his test was according to that. That's why Satan appeared to him, and Satan appeared to him in the way he did. Just like Buddha was raised in the Middle East, and he was a prince, and he had different programmings and different conditionings that he had to transcend. So when Satan came to him, it came to him in a little different testing underneath the Bodhi tree, because he had different conditions and programs that he had to transcend in his Buddha nature, just like Jesus had different ones in his Christ consciousness. So it all goes to the same thing. It's all the same thing at the top with source, but the source allows it to manifest in consciousness differently, so that there's different manifestations of how that's perceived and how that is beings are awakened. Typically, if you have a teacher or a master that you follow, they're going to have transcended the same programs and conditions that you have to or are doing, because they are going to be able to transmute to you in consciousness the understanding to get through those thresholds. It's not always necessarily true. You can have someone that probably was in a different culture and stuff like that too, but the reason why, like, Jesus was my teacher is because I was raised in a religious structured environment, and I had to transcend the same thresholds, conditions, and programs that would limit my consciousness and source in Christ consciousness that Jesus had, right? And Jesus actually had more, because he was in a more rigorous and strict environment. If you were more in the Eastern world, you had less strictness, so you might go to Buddha, and Buddha would be your master, your teacher, because it was other programs and things you had to deal with. So we tend to attract and reflect with beings that have to transcend the same programs and conditions and thought patterns and identities with the ego mind that we have. And usually your culture, your framework, your spirit, how your consciousness works, where you were brought up, all your programs, everything that contributes to your mind, body, ego identity is what makes up that ego, and that thing is transcended by your realization of what's what and who's who and what we're doing here, who we are, and what this is, the absolute truth that transcend your programs. But those are tested. That's why Jesus had the wilderness, and Satan was testing him. That's why he was in Gethsemane sweating to blood, because he was transcending programs of death and of what it means in his mind, his projections to be one with God and to see it as God sees everything. Same thing with Buddha underneath that tree, right? Same thing with Ramana Maharshi when he had his death experience and he was realized young. He had to have a full death experience to transcend, even with his mind, program that to be. So encouragement. You're going to feel all that fear and that weight come, because your ego is not going to want to let you be free from how you see things. It wants to keep you in that pattern. So it'll throw everything at you, all your greatest fears, all your greatest conditions, all your greatest programs, and it'll be confirmed by beings around you. It'll be confirmed by even happenings seemingly. But you have to reconfirm within your unification with God, your identity with God, as unified with the source, everything and nothing, source of all things, Christ consciousness, Buddha's nature at all times, even transcending those things, even not believing those things, right? And these are our last waves in our test before our freedom, before we pop out and free. I love how Muji says before we pop free from the net, like the fish, some fish pop free from the net, right? And so when we do that, then we're fully free from our mind. We can never cage us again. We can observe it, but we don't ever believe it again. So my teachers, that's why Jesus and Muji are my teachers. Jesus came from that same structured religious thing that we had to transcend, and Muji came from Christianity, and he had a structured religion. Then he ended up transcending those same programs. So just Godspeed, blessings, blessings, blessings. Hope you guys are blessed.